Good afternoon. My name is Camille Chisholm. I am the owner of Indigo Packaging and Consulting, and I am going to talk about changing the way returnable packaging in automotive is managed. Once upon a time, I was an automotive packaging engineer. Most of the time I was spent fighting fires. I couldn't get my job done because I was constantly looking for containers. It was a mess. There's no discipline. It was just lots of money lost, those sorts of things. So again, managing those returnables in that environment is very challenging. You have issues with productivity. I have examples where, we were spending $10,000 in 1 month for one location in one of the plants that I worked with. That equaled about $250,000 a year just for that one package for one plant. Labor, you add another $20 per hour for people spending, looking for containers that they didn't need to do, so they were spending excess for that. And then there was also rampant loss and theft. When I looked at the total addressable market for this, I looked at the entire automotive returnable packaging pool. And when I took out about a third of that is automotive. So that brought me to my total addressable market of 25.7 million. And I based that on the number of customers that were available in the United States. That serviceable market goes down to about 3.2 million. And when I looked at the market that I really wanted to target as my serviceable, obtainable market, that comes down to 990,000, a very targeted reach for specific clients. My solution would be a web-based system that would help to increase productivity, give accurate budgeting for returnable containers during the plan, and it would automatically red flag loss. This would be an example of what this would look like for someone working on this, trying to find containers in a plant environment. They could have something like this on an iPad and it would actually flag the shortages that they have and actually show the container and give them a cost, assign a cost to that so that they can track what they're losing or what they're potentially losing during the year and track it much faster. My unique value proposition would save millions of dollars just based on things like loss of containers, labor reduction, and transportation that for expedited helicopters to bring in material and so forth. The capital expense process that is required to purchase the containers would be much faster because there would be more data on what was actually spent and what's actually needed. It's proven with this, when I worked with this concept early on my own, I was able to reduce the time that I worked on this 80%. And it would actually help provide what's called a fleet, which would be the number of returnable containers a supplier would, customer, any plant would have. I did a competitive analysis looking at my product that I'm looking at. It has more features because it's very specific to what the needs are, having that experience. It would also, the main competitor is a company named Surgier. They actually helped me write some software and they actually referenced some of the work that I did. They don't have as many features and their cost model is much more exorbitant. SpecRite, they are not targeting this audience, but they could. And Team Center is something that's companies are using, but it would take a lot of integration in order to match the capabilities that I'm looking at. My go-to-market, I would focus first on the tier ones, which would be the suppliers to the big three, to the automotive manufacturers. From there, I would go to the OEMs, which would be the actual manufacturers of the vehicles at the vehicle plants, which we have about 45 of those in the United States. And then from there, it would cascade down to the second tiers, because once this is adopted by the primary suppliers and the automotive manufacturers, it would actually start cascading to them automatically. As far as traction, I have done customer discovery. I'm in the process of doing that. I have just over 30 interviews. It matches with the approximately 75 people that I spoke to when I did thesis work on automotive returnable packaging. Again, I know that organizations such as Gartner have actually referenced my thesis work, and I am considered one of the SMEs in this arena. And then I plan to, continue my work and involvement with different organizations such as AIAG, which is Automotive Industry Action Group, and attend conferences that are related to automotive packaging to get some traction and more visibility on what I'm doing. Here's my team. Myself, I'm the CEO. Again, I have a background in packaging. People have actually, during this, because customer discovery, someone called me a packaging therapist, so that's why I put that there. My CTO is Agu Wosu. He is a programmer, developer. He actually has some very specific experience working with the same type of product, except for packaging. It was related to the actual materials in automotive. And then Courtney Chisholm is my chief marketing officer. She has a great background in sales and writing. So with those three, I have a great team. I also have some, I have contact with people with UX and other coders as well as I go along this journey. My revenue model would be a 3-tier downloads. This would mostly apply to the sub-tiers, would be the smaller suppliers. They can download the information and they'd have a base level to be able to track what they have, keep count of what the containers are that they have. A subscription would be more related to the first tier suppliers that supply straight to the automotive manufacturing plants. They might have a customized dashboard, they can subscribe, they'd have a limited number of users. And then database would be for the larger tier ones that supply to the manufacturing plants, as well as the actual automotive manufacturers. They can have an unlimited number of users, would have some customization, but if they want to do something like integration to SAP or Team Center, it would cost significantly more. These are the milestones that I've set for my 2-year action plan. Currently, I'm finishing up with Steep Detroit and in the process of customer discovery. The design process has started somewhat. It actually overlaps somewhat with the MVP. The MVP would, really the base MVP would be a spreadsheet that I have worked on that has all the fields, all the information, and that needs to be tied in from a programming standpoint. From there, we go into beta, and then we would launch and continue to tweak and get into design version 2. And here are my asks. I am looking for help with developers because right now I have, the one developer. I have contacts with developers, but really having a full-fledged team of developers would be a huge help to move this along faster. Having some advisors related to the strategy to roll this out, as far as reaching out to specific companies, and then dealing with the workflow and the UX as this project is developing and the coding is done. Marketing, my ask would be to get some access to journals and maybe do some webinars related to this to get more visibility on this product as it's rolling out. With case studies, et cetera. And then I'm looking at meetings with stakeholders in automotive and connecting to industry events such as AIAG, packaging summits for automotive, et cetera. Thank you.